So Pawan, I think you can start now.
Yeah, sure, Tanvir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Once again, good morning, all. And I'm Pawan, and I'm going to be your trainer in this Power BI course, which spans for around 30 plus classes. And yeah, about me, I work in data analytics field, and I have been working in this field for almost around 7 years now, with specific expertise in Power BI for around 5 plus years. Okay. Yeah, I have started the recording the session, and yeah, so let me share my screen so that I can first show you the contents that we are going to be covering in this particular Power BI course. So let me share my screen. Please let me know once my screen is visible to you all. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in this particular course, we are going to be starting with the introduction to Power BI, and wherein we'll understand what is the BI as a whole, that is business intelligence, and what are the building blocks of Power BI, and why we use BI in the first place, and also what is the procedure for installation of Power BI, and also the overall graphical user interface of how Power BI looks like. Okay. And then we'll start with the first important step while we get the data into Power BI and transform the data in Power BI. Now, here we need to understand that Power BI actually has integration with more than 100 plus with different data sources, and we will get to know how to get the data from different data sources, and also how to use the Power BI's in-house ETL tool called as Power Query Editor, where we can clean the data and where we can model the data according to what we need. And this involves usage of many transformation steps like removing the unwanted columns, removing unwanted rows, getting rid of nulls, getting rid of blanks, and other functions like pivoting, unpivoting, merging of two columns into one, merging of two tables, and then appending, then also creating the calculated columns by using some of the functions like column by examples, and yeah, group by columns. So all these things will be done in this first part where we get the data from different data sources and transform the data in the business ready form. Okay. And once this is done, we will move into one more important thing, that is modeling of the data in Power BI. Now, this particular thing involves understanding some of the data warehouse, basic data warehouse concepts like what are the fact tables, what are the dimension tables, and then yeah, how to create multi-dimensional model. Okay, what is normalization of the data, or what is normalized tables, what are denormalized tables. All these things we will understand while we discuss the data warehouse concepts. And once we are done with the data warehouse concepts, we will discuss how to create the data model inside the Power BI, that is how to create and edit the relationship between the different tables which are within Power BI. And this involves discussing the cardinalities, which are one to many, many to one, and many to many, and also one to one. And we'll understand what these cardinalities are and how they will impact the data model. Okay. And also we'll discuss the filter flow directions. Okay. And how also how to activate and deactivate, and also to use inactive relationships, how to do that. Okay. So this is what we'll do in the data modeling uh, area. Then We'll discuss the next thing, that is data visualization. Now, before we actually understand how to do the data visualizations or create basically the visualizations in Power BI, we'll understand which are the visuals which need to be used in different use case scenarios, like where exactly the bar graphs or column graphs are used, where exactly the pie charts are used, and which are the case scenarios wherein the line charts or maybe the tree maps or maybe the map visuals are used. Okay, we'll understand the use case scenario, and once we are done with that, then we'll go on into Power BI and we'll start understanding how to create those visuals in Power BI, and how to handle the different axes while creating those visuals, that is x axis, y axis, and how to handle the values, how to handle the legends, okay, and how to basically format the visuals in the way we want them to appear on our dashboard. So this is what we are going to learn in the data visualization part. And this involves usage of different visuals like matrix visual, table visuals, pie chart, donut chart, and then the map visual. And we'll also understand some of the concepts which are specific to Power BI while doing the data visualizations, like the tooltips, bookmarks, drill through, drill down, and KPI cards. Okay. And we'll also try to understand some of the custom visuals that they regularly use in the industry. Okay. Yeah. So, and the custom visuals basically are the third-party visuals which are developed by us, developed not by Microsoft, but they are approved by Microsoft. Okay. So we'll also understand those, and then we'll come to the most important part as far as the front-end modeling of Power BI is concerned, and that is learning the DAX, that is data analysis expressions. So the thing here is that in Power BI, in order to create the calculated columns and one more calculated field, which is called as measures, we use this front-end coding language called as DAX, which stands for Data Analysis Expressions. We'll try to understand here what is the basic syntax of DAX, how it works, and importantly, what is row context, what is filter context, because understanding row context and filter context is uh, of prime importance while dealing with creation of calculated columns or measures. Okay, and then we'll try to understand the different types of functions, basically the aggregate functions or logical functions, information functions, time intelligence related functions. All of these will be covered while we are discussing the data analysis expression. Okay, so yeah, so this is about the data analysis expressions. And lastly, once our work is done in Power BI, meaning once we are done with creating the dashboard in Power BI, the final thing would be to publish that dashboard in the uh, virtual workspace, which uh, which stores your work, and also through which you'll be able to share your work with the stakeholders or the business end. And this platform basically is called as Power BI Service. Okay, and we'll understand what is Power BI Service and what are the different licensing options available in Power BI Service, and which are the different user roles, basically the admin, the member, the contributor, the viewer. What are the roles uh, of the different user profiles that we'll try to understand. And then we'll understand how to do the data refresh, basically how to introduce the gateways and then do the data refresh, and also what are the data flows, how to create the dashboards in Power BI Service, and how to uh, basically do the incremental refresh. So all these things, and also the row level security. So all these concepts are specific to Power BI Service. And yes, once we are done with this course, we'll also discuss the conceptual as well as scenario based interview question and answers. And yes, as the course goes on, parallelly, we will be developing two dashboards. So which will be nothing short of the real-time dashboards that the organizations usually develop while they are doing certain projects. Okay, so this will be the course content. Anyone has any particular doubt with respect to this? Any questions, please? No questions. Can we proceed further then?
Actually, this is Satish. Uh,
Yeah.
I I train up in same institution last 2 months back with Tanvir SQL. So I
Hmm.
joined Power BI right now. So currently I'm working in MNC organization with 7+ experience on SAP tool. So is this helpful for me for the Power BI instead of SAC?
Instead of, yes.
SAP SAC Analytic Clouds.
Yeah. See, Power BI will be definitely helpful for you in case you are planning to move into data analytics field or the BI developing field. So that is what I can say.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Currently I'm working ATL only, SAP PW.
Mhm. Okay.
So, data warehouse, right? So for the
Yeah.
on the top of it, there is a BEX and a BO reporting is there.
Mhm.
So I'm
Currently,
just
which reporting tool they are using there?
currently we are using Analysis Office,
Hmm.
AO, A4,
Okay.
and BEX.
Hmm. Yeah, but one thing for sure I can tell you is Power BI currently is widely used. I mean, it is most widely used BI tool as for now. And along with its integration with Microsoft Fabric, it makes it more powerful. I mean, it has direct connection with many backend tools as well, and it has connection with many sources. Yeah. So, and as I said earlier, it is being used by most of the organizations. In fact, I myself have worked in many projects wherein they went for data migration from other tools to Power BI. So, yeah, I think it'll definitely be helpful for you in the data analytics field. Yeah.
Okay, Pawan. Thank you.
Any other questions, people?
Hi, good morning. Uh, Do
Good
we
morning.
cover DAX in the entire course? Like, I did not hear in this initial stages, so just I want to know.
Can you come again, please? What the exact question is?
Like the data structuring format, do we perform any DAX expressions in the entire course?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, and after that, I mean, updating the report to Power BI Cloud for like a kind of cloud computing, just the basic steps. Like, how do we
See,
publish the report? So after once we are
mhm.
done with the dashboard and
Okay, I'll answer both your questions, or both your concerns basically. So as far as DAX is concerned, we will be learning the basics of the DAX, and we'll also be learning the scenario-based applications of the DAX, how the DAX is implemented in real time projects. Okay, so we'll be understanding the different types of functions and learning them, and not just that, we'll be actually performing the DAX coding in a dashboard. Okay, so I hope that that answers your question. And this involves handling the
yeah.
different scenarios like aggregates, logical functions, time intelligence functions, information based functions. Okay, we'll handle everything. And yes, once we are done with the dashboard, or once we are done with creating the dashboard, we will be publishing it in Power BI Service, which, as you said, is a cloud based platform. And while we do that, we will also learn what are the things which are specific to Power BI Service, like how to create how to uh, schedule the data refresh, how to do the incremental data refresh, how to do the row level security. Okay, so all these things. But one more thing you mentioned, that is cloud computing. So that there's no such specific thing as cloud computing in here, because most of the coding that we do it offline while we are using the Power BI desktop itself. So I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, all right. Got you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. If there are no further questions, let me start with the introduction to BI. Let me share the screen. I hope the screen is visible. Yeah. Okay. So the business intelligence is, I mean, it can be simplified to what you presently are seeing on this particular screen. Basically, the data in the raw form is what it looks like. I mean, the image which you're seeing on the left hand side here. So it basically looks like various, uh, it might be, it might be single table or multiple tables, and it might be having various columns and rows and various values inside those columns and rows. Basically, numerous thousands and thousands of records in this tabular form is what the raw data might look like. Okay. And if you just look at this kind of data, you'll all you can see is maybe the column headers or the values inside the columns. Okay. But the main thing here is that you will not be able to figure out what the data is trying to tell you, or what kind of inferences you can make out of this particular form of tabular form of data. But the BI intelligence, what it involves is converting this form of raw data into some of the graphically appealing or visually appealing form of data, like what you're seeing on the right hand side, and which might be in the form of different visuals, like it might be using line graphs, it might be using bar graphs, it might be using map visuals, and ultimately it will tell you some of the conclusions that can be drawn from this form of data. And hence, this form of data which you're seeing on the right hand side, this is usually called business data or business ready data. Okay. Now if you see here, you can clearly figure out some of the things here. So YTD sales, what it says is $11.53 million, and it has been reduced by minus 0.83 percentage. So this is what this particular graph tells you, and this particular bar graph gives you top five products uh, with YTD sales, and this gives YTD sales by different states. Okay, so converting this into this is what the business intelligence is in simple terms. Or basically, we can say that converting raw data to the data which is uh, ready for business usage or ready for business to make their decisions. Okay, so this is what business intelligence is. Okay, now when it comes to the business intelligence outline, or basically uh, how it happens in most of the organizations step by step, this particular figure, it can explain a lot of things. Now here if you see, it all starts from the left hand side, where you can see the data coming from different data sources. It can be relational database management system, it can be coming from some raw Excel file or some flat text files, or some other form of data like SAP or some transactional data. Okay, so now all of this data first is brought into one environment called as staging environment, and here what happens is called as ETL. Now ETL stands for extract, transform, and load, meaning extracting the data from different data sources, then transforming the data in a sort of uniform form, and then loading the data loading the data into a central repository, which we normally call as data warehouse. Okay, now this data warehouse might be certain combination or set of different tools and techniques. Okay. Also, this ETL, this part basically in real life will be handled by some dedicated ETL tools like Informatica, like ADF, and different various other ETL tools. Okay. And this one, data warehouse, basically this is a central repository where all of your data for your organization will be stored. Okay. And here, what you're seeing, one more thing here is that the data marts. Now, these data marts can be thought of as the subset of the data warehouse, and these subset will store the data specific to certain domains. Like this data mart might be storing the data specific to sales. This one might be storing the data specific to maybe human resources. This one might be storing the data with respect to operations. Okay, so all these things, these are subsets of the data warehouse, and these subsets might be either tables or they might be views that we generally create in the SQL, or I mean, when I say SQL, I mean it might be SQL Server or different querying systems. Okay. And once these data marts are ready or these views are ready, ultimately the data will come into the BI tools or the reporting tools like Power BI, like Tableau, okay, like Spotfire, like Grafana, and ultimately the business intelligence or basically the dashboard creating or reporting will be happening in the Power BI or other such BI tools. Now, one more thing to be noted here is that sometimes this ETL, or we can say a portion of ETL, can be completed or can be done in Power BI as well. Because whenever you bring the data into Power BI, okay, what happens is that you might find that some of the transformation is still required for you to uh, get that data straight. Okay, so what you do, sometimes you'll end up doing some of the ETL steps in Power BI as well. Okay, and for that, Power BI has its own dedicated ETL tool, as I said earlier, which is called Power Query Editor. Okay, so this is how the general outline of the BI operations look in any organization. Any doubt with respect to this, people? Yes.
Nope.
Okay. Fine. So yeah. So as I explained earlier, this data warehouse, which is the central repository, okay, it it, it basically has everything. It has all the data, basically metadata, and metadata is basically the information about the data which is present in it. And it might contain the data in the raw form, it might contain the summarized or aggregated form of data, and out of this we make the subsets of the data which can be thought of as the data marts. And here you see these data marts belong to specific domains like sales, marketing, employees. Okay, so yeah, this is data warehouse and this is data mart. Okay, and yeah, so basically the reason we use BI tools or business intelligence is due to the fact that the raw data is hard to read and draw the conclusion from. And hence, the BI tools are used to convert this raw data into business data, which is the visual form of data. And some of the BI tools that they use regularly in organizations include Power BI, Tableau, ClickView, or ClickSense, it's called, and then Alteryx, MSBI, SAP BI. Okay, it might be even Spotify or Grafana or various other tools. Okay, so and recently, I mean, and when I say recently, what I mean is last 5 to 6 years, Power BI has developed more demand due to its capabilities in data analysis and visualization, and mainly it is used widely due to its integration with 100 plus data sources from the backend. And not just that, it has direct integration with Teams as well, Teams and Outlook. Okay, not to mention its integration with Microsoft Fabric, which is a platform where Microsoft is bringing everything from backend to front end, the whole data analytics into one particular platform. And yeah, the important thing to be understood is that Power BI is not just a single tool, but it is a stack of components. Now, what are those components? The first one is Power BI Desktop, and Power BI Desktop is the one thing which can be installed offline in your system. Okay, but that doesn't mean it from there you cannot publish it into web. Okay, so Power BI is where you work offline, and once your work is done in Power BI Desktop, you can publish that onto the second component, which is called Power BI Service. Now, the Power BI Service is cloud-based application which can be thought of as a SaaS application, software as a service. Okay, wherein we basically use Power BI Service to publish our data, share and collaborate our data with our colleagues, and also share the ultimate product with the business end once it is ready. So, okay, so for all these purposes, Power BI Service is used. And then there is Power BI mobile application as well. But the thing is that uh, I still have not come across the scenario where either the developers or the business and users use this app uh, to review something. So basically, this Power BI mobile app is mainly used for reviewing the content which is already developed by someone, but it is very rarely used app because as the name suggests, it opens the application in your smartphones, and you'll be able to see those dashboards in your smartphones as well. But yeah, it is very rarely used. Okay. Now, the next thing is Power BI servers. So, as you know, these are nothing but the servers which will be which can be thought of as the on premise or local servers. Okay, so that is Power BI's servers basically installed in the server systems. And ultimately, we have the Power BI Report Builder, and Power BI Report Builder is very similar to SSRS, which is a SQL Server Reporting Service tool, which is used to build the paginated reports. However, let me be very clear that Power BI Report Builder is not we are going to, I mean, is not the thing which we are going to cover in this course. What we are going to cover is Power BI Desktop and Power BI Service. Okay, so that will be the thing we will be covering in this course, but not the Power BI Report Builder. Okay, okay. So yeah, so here, if you look at this thing, most of the work will be done in Power BI Desktop, that is the offline application where you will be able to get the data, clean and transform the data, model the data, visualize and analyze the data. And Power BI Service, which basically is a cloud platform, is mainly used to publish, share, and collaborate your work. Okay. And ultimately, Power BI mobile application, which is again used very rarely, but it can be used mainly for reviewing the content and not developing the dashboards. Okay. So this is about the different components. Okay. Now, let's try to understand the building blocks of Power BI. Now, this might seem like a very theoretical or conceptual thing, but believe me, this was also asked as one of the interview questions. Uh, so that's the reason I'm including this here, which is building blocks of Power BI. Now, what are the building blocks of Power BI? Data sets, visualizations, tiles, reports, and dashboards. Now, what are the data sets? Data sets are the files which contain the data. It might be in uh, it might be coming from some database from SQL Server, or it might be in the form of the Excel workbook, or it might be in the form of let's say the flat or CSV file. But yeah, the files which contain the data, these things are actually called as data sets. Okay, and then the visualizations. Visualizations, as you know, are visualizations might be bar graphs, they might be line graphs, they might be map visuals, they might be uh, pie charts, donut charts. Okay, so these graphs or these basically uh, these visuals which represent the data are called as visualizations. Okay, then the tiles. Uh, Tiles in the sense each visual will occupy one particular space in the dashboard, and that is called as the tile. Okay, each visual is present in one particular tile is what we can say. Okay, and the next two things, that is the dashboard, I mean reports and dashboards. Now, while we work in business intelligence field, these two things might be, I mean, reports and dashboards might be used synonymously to mean the same thing, but as far as Power BI is concerned, the meaning of reports and dashboards is different. Okay, now reports is what we create in Power BI desktop, and there is an option in Power BI service to convert a report into a dashboard. Now the specifics of what how the dashboard is different from a report in Power BI service, we will discuss that while learning the Power BI service. But do remember that in general BI field, reports and dashboards are the terms which are used synonymously. Basically, what I mean is when someone asks for report or dashboards, what they mean is same. But as far as Power BI service is concerned, there is a specific thing called as dashboard, which is different than report. Okay, that we'll discuss while uh, discussing the Power BI service. Okay, so yeah, these are the building blocks of Power BI. Okay. And now let's try to understand, first of all, how to install Power BI, and then we'll look into a basic GUI of how Power BI desktop looks like and what are the different components of that. Okay, so the way to download Power BI desktop is just open the uh, Microsoft Store in your systems and just type Power BI in the search bar. Okay, and after that, here you see in my system, it's called, I mean, I'm getting the option to update. But if you have not installed Power BI in your system, you will just I mean, you will get an icon like free here, and you can just click on get so that it will get installed. And the installation procedure is quite simple. You just, I mean, you just need to click on get, and it will be installed automatically. It will not ask you for any uh, codes or username or password, nothing it will ask for. It will just get installed in some 5 to 6 minutes, depending on the internet speed of your systems. Okay, so this is the procedure to install, and it's as simple as possible. Okay, and once you have installed it in your system, you can find it in the start button. Basically, here in the start tab, you can find it here. That is Power BI desktop. You can search for it, and you can just double click on it to open it. Okay, and once you open it, just select a blank report. Okay, and yeah, so this is how the Power BI desktop will look like. Okay, and it essentially has three views. Okay, the current view which you are seeing here is called as the report view. Now, what is meant by the report view? Here, you can actually create the visuals. Okay, you can actually create the visuals and see the data in the visual form uh, in the report view. Okay, then there's one more thing called as table view. Now, in the table view, you can actually see the different tables. Let me do one thing. Let me just open one of the dashboard which is already created so that you can see for yourself how the tables look like and how the report looks like in its form. Okay. So let me open. Yeah. Hmm. So yeah, we'll just wait for it to get loaded. Okay. So now what you're seeing here is the report view, or basically this is the canvas view where you can see all the visuals in different forms. So this is called as the report view, where you can see the visuals. And then there comes one more view called as table view. Now in the table view, you can see the different tables by yourself, the table contents, okay? So all these things. So this is called as the tables, where you can see the tables and the records for yourself. Okay. And then there is third main view, which is called as model view, where you can see the ER diagram of your data model, that is entity relationship diagram of your data model, meaning you can see for yourself how the different tables are connected with each other in your data model, or basically how the facts and dimensions are connected with each other, what is the kind of cardinality between them, and what is the filter flow direction that is happening in the data model. You can see it for yourself. We will discuss this in detail while we do the data model, but for now, you understand that we mainly deal with the report view where we create the reports or create the visuals. And yes, report view might be having multiple pages. This is just one page, but it might be having multiple pages with multiple uh, visuals. Okay, so there is no limit to the number of pages that you can create here, but yeah, this is how the report looks like. Okay, then there is the table view, and ultimately there is the data model view where we can see the data for ourselves. Okay, and on top here you have many options. Basically, uh, there is a home tab where you have the option to get the data, okay, or option to go to the transform data. And if you go to the transform data tab, what will open is Power Query Editor. And as I said earlier, Power Query Editor is the ETL tool within Power BI itself. So if you see now, Power Query Editor has opened and it is a completely different window. Okay. So it is Power Query Editor, not the Power BI desktop. Okay. So in Power Query Editor, we can do various transformations onto the data which we have brought here. And these transformations, if you just look into the transform tab, there are various types of transformations that are available to be done. And this we will discuss in detail once we start with Power Query Editor. Okay. So yeah, this is how the graphical user interface of Power BI Desktop looks like. And yeah, from next class onwards, we'll start looking at how to get the data from various resources and how to start doing the transformations within Power Query Editor. That is going to be the agenda from next class. Okay. So any doubt with respect to what is covered today, people, or about the course content or whatever you would like to ask?
No, Pavan, it's clear.
Yeah. And also, let me be very clear on the timeline of this course. So it will be of minimum we'll need 28 to 30 plus classes, and for that the span or the timeline would be around uh, it would be more than 1.5 months. The course will last for. Okay, so this I want to make it clear now itself. Okay, So yeah. Fine. Any further questions, people?
No.
Okay. Fine, then I'll stop recording the session and